Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster my good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Thursday, 29th of June 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man. A background to that news and sport and business and Sea-Watch and travel updates. The newsmakers in person this evening. TT visitor numbers are up. The Infrastructure Minister replies on Crogga Gas. The new Eastern Civic Amenity site opened today. The Island Games tennis team's ready to serve success. The visitor who threatened to kill German TT fans is out on bail. And the new boats here on Sunday.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fastamai Chanel Soku.
Fastamai. The Infrastructure Minister insists his department has communicated greatly with Crogga over drilling regulations in the past month. This despite the organisation saying talks had failed to take place. Tonight is the final opportunity to have your say in person on the future of Manx elections. The fourth meeting of the Electoral Commission is taking place at Corran Hall in Peel, starting from 6:30. The arrival of Manxmen has been confirmed for this weekend, subject to weather conditions. After covering more than 12,000 nautical miles through 8 seas and 3 oceans, the Steam Packet Company's flagship vessel is expected to arrive in Douglas Bay at 9 a.m. on Sunday. In international news, the Home Secretary's promise to swiftly appeal a legal ruling that sending migrants to Rwanda is unlawful. Suella Braverman claims the system's rigged against the British people. A man in his 40s has been found dead in his tent at Glastonbury Festival. The member of crew was discovered on the site in Somerset on Tuesday. His death isn't being treated as suspicious. And Liverpool legend Robbie Fowler has been named as the new boss of Saudi Arabian second-tier side Al Qadsiya. Those were your headlines. News at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goramayad, thank you, Chanel, from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There's no wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is slight currently. And the 3-day weather this evening, cloudy, mainly dry, and a light to moderate wind coming in from the southwest. Overnight minimum 14 degrees. For Jehenya, rain first thing tomorrow, persisting through the day on a moderate to fresh southwesterly. Daylight maximum 17 down to 13 through the night. Into Saturday for Jasan, dry with sunny intervals on a fresh westerly and 19 degrees. Tides on the way out. High water's 2 minutes past 9, sunset 5 to 10, low water 3:30 a.m, sunrise 11 minutes before 5, and the morning high tide 26 minutes past 9.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
The Manx government says early indications show visitor numbers saw positive growth for the 2023 Isle of Man TT races. The story from Siobhan Fletcher.
The 2023 Isle of Man TT races once again saw thousands of visitors from across the world experience 2 weeks of road racing, local hospitality and tourism. And the Department of Enterprise says it has recorded overwhelmingly positive sentiment about the execution of this year's event through initial feedback from riders and teams, local businesses, visitors and local fans. There has been 228% growth in the global audience since the implementation of the digital broadcast strategy in January 2022, taking the total audience size across digital platforms to 1.35 million. Early indications also show that visitor numbers are up, and further details regarding actual numbers will be made available soon, following the completion of the annual TT visitor survey. This was the first year operating with the new schedule, with government arguing the change changes maximise the return on the public investment needed to deliver the event, ensuring its long-term sustainability and viability. Government also confirmed the scheduled dates for 2024 will be announced in the coming days and will look to closely follow this year's format with some minor adjustments where necessary.
There's mounting political and public divide over whether Crogga will be able to drill for gas off the coast of the Isle of Man after the firm announced it was handing money back to investors because the right drilling regulations aren't in place. MHK David Ashford says government's known about the regulations for 6 years, but the Minister for Infrastructure, Thomas MHK, says the rules aren't needed for another 30 months.
Well, the drilling regulations are to be developed when the drilling is to take place, and the drilling was agreed with Crogga as recently as April 2022 to take place from January 2026. Basically, there are three types of regulations. The first type is the ones that exist. They're fully capable of being used for exploration. So, for instance, last winter, Crogga had a seismic survey permit from the Department of Environment, Food and Agriculture, which it didn't take advantage of, and it's been in correspondence with them. So there are many regulations that already exist to cover the exploration phase. There are then the regulations like drilling regulations, which Crogga knows all about. We've communicated greatly over the last months, if not years, with Crogga about this, and those drilling regulations will look very similar to the ones from the UK. And then there's a third type of regulations, the ones which are in the gap, which we exist in the UK but don't exist in the Isle of Man, and so therefore they're the difficult ones to imagine. They're all about what happens in the worst case, and they're the hardest ones. So we have actually worked with Attorneys General's chambers to understand the gaps that we need to address, and we've actually some months ago, quite a few months ago now, looked to begin to get all the money that would be involved in putting together those regulations, because there's this oft-quoted argument that this costs the public purse nothing. It does cost the public purse money once you get into drafting regulations for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is the potential for hydrocarbons. The situation is completely clear at the moment. A seismic survey is needed, and what Crogga has done is they've applied to vary their licence. Previously, they've varied their licence. I now expect to have all the paperwork very, very shortly to be able to make an informed decision whether to allow Crogga to vary the licence. But they know exactly where they are because they've had a licence since 2017, 2018. The situation is clear. It's just they want to change the situation.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
We have a brand new top tip. The new civic amenity site opened this morning. It cost £3 million and was built on time and on budget. Our local democracy reporter Emma Draper has been speaking to representatives from the Amenity Site Joint Committee.
Been really interested in the development as it's been going along the past few years. It's busy already, so yeah, I'm really impressed by it.
Andy, obviously this is something that you'll be helping to operate as like a member of staff. Is this something that you've been looking forward to? And if
been head of waste services for 12 years, I think. So we have been operating at the old site, but this new site is a much better layout, as the Mayor explained earlier. In terms of the waste hierarchy, so, reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, the layout of this site absolutely supports that waste hierarchy, so that's a positive from our point of view. We've got more room for skips, so that obviously our capacity's increased, particularly at the weekends when the energy from waste is closed, so we don't have to worry about skips getting full and us having to close the site early. So lots of benefits from the new site, which obviously the staff on site, they're pleased, with the new condition circumstances.
My name's Tim Kenyon. I'm a Commissioner for Garth.
Hi, my name's Snell Logan and I am the Committee Member for Onken.
My name is Anne Davidson, Committee Member for Santon.
how does it feel to now have this amenity site done? I imagine it's been quite a long road.
Yes, I've only been involved for the last couple of years, but it's very nice that it's up and running.
No, I have not any concerns. I have been telling people, so I think people, when they see it, will be quite impressed. Been here on the board since 2016, so we've been about 5 years in the planning of this site, and just delighted that it's now up and running. I think the people who worked on the site and got it ready done a brilliant job.
Will it be this board that operates it, or will it be something else going forward?
Yes, this will be this board going forward. We have a new chair starting at the next meeting.
A visitor from Barrow in Furness who's accused of threatening to kill German tourists at a TT campsite has been released from the Isle of Man prison on bail in Douglas Courthouse. Tessa Hawley.
Paul Samuels of Macassar Street appeared at Douglas Belfast courthouse via live link, where he was told the court would release him if a £5,000 surety was lodged. The 44-year-old has been charged with maliciously administering poison, making threats to kill or cause serious injury and criminal damage. All of the offences allegedly took place at St John's Football Club on the 8th of June. The prosecutor told the court Mr Samuels was visiting for the TT races, but had complained about the noise coming from a neighbouring pitch at the temporary campsite. He allegedly went over to confront the visitors, shouting and swearing and offering to fight them. It's alleged he also made derogatory comments about German people and their country. He's then accused of returning to their area with a bottle of barbecue lighter fuel, which he's said to have sprayed over the main complainant and some of his possessions before threatening to light a lighter near him. The court was told he then allegedly shouted, "Germans, I will burn you." Mr Samuel's advocate told the court his client retained the presumption of innocence and said spilling the lighter fuel in their gazebo was an accident. He denied his client had abused their nationality or shouted or sworn at them. Committal proceedings, where the case is elevated to the Court of General Jail Delivery, will take place on the 10th of August. He's been bailed until that date.
Sea-Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Mothership Ben McCree departed Heysham at 12 minutes past 2. She'll be with us in Douglas in the next 10 minutes or so, departing this evening at 7:45, arriving in Heysham at 11:30. Overnight departure 2:15, back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning, and the high-speed craft Manannan left Douglas at 11 minutes before 3. She's on the link span in Liverpool as I speak. Will be departing at 7:15 this evening, back to Douglas at 10. Tomorrow morning's departure 7:15. Manannan heads to Liverpool. 8:45 Ben McCree heads to Heysham, and our brand new boat, the Manxman, arrives on Sunday.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
The Isle of Man's tennis players will be hoping to keep up their recent Island Games success over the last few years when they head to Guernsey next week. Team manager Daphne Sneedall explains the challenge of getting the competitors ready when some may be off-island for much of the year.
Well, it is, as you say, tricky. So you have to just do the best you can, and when they are on the island for holidays and whatever, try and get all of them together for a practice. Otherwise, it has to be down to the individuals to organise their own preparation. It's always good to know they're out there playing regularly, keeping fit and practicing. And even when the weather's not so good, we've got indoor facilities, so they have been playing regularly. This time we've got a real cross-section. We've got the experienced players that have been to several Island Games and won titles in the past, and then we've got some young, up-and-coming, really talented players that it will be their first games. They are really keen to go and show what they can do at that level. It's that one up from county tennis, which most of them have played, and hopefully they'll be able to show us what they're worth. In the last 4 games that I've been to, we have had at least 6 medals per games, which is pretty good going for a team of 10. It's always a big shock when they get to Island Games. The matches there are so intense. At the last games, we had one 14-hour day. We usually miss our evening meal. We have snack runs regularly to keep them fueled up. So they're never ever going to experience in local competition or even in county competition the level of intensity they get at an Island Games. I would hope we could at least repeat what we did in Gibraltar in 2019, which was 3 silver and 2 bronze. Maybe go one further than that. Hope for a gold.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 17 minutes before 6, Serco, the British multinational defence, justice and immigration, transport, health and citizen service company, lifted annual guidance after a strong first half driven by higher demand for its immigration services. Shares in the company, which provides security at immigration detention centres in England, surged on the news as the demand from the British government more than offset a fall in sales related to the COVID pandemic. However, the company's operations haven't been without controversy. The UK Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick, met Serco executives last month for talks over a riot at the Yarlswood Detention Centre. And for a full Daily Market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. The mining of battery-grade lithium carbonate, a key component in electric cars, has been announced in Cornwall. The joint venture between the China clay company Immersis and British Lithium aims to operate the UK's leading lithium hub within 5 years. Target is to supply 500,000 electric cars with the component per year by the end of the decade. The development in the St Austell area could potentially create 300 direct jobs.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crogga.
UK and European equity markets closed slightly lower. The US dollar touched a more than 7-month high against the Japanese yen. Oil edged higher and gold retreated. The numbers now from Ramsey Crogga. At the close in London, the FTSE 100 was down 0.4% at 7,471. The DAX in Frankfurt fractionally down almost 0.1% at 15,937. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial up 0.6% at 34,067. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up 0.1% at 13,605, and the S&P 500 is up 0.33% at 4,390. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 26.1 cents, €1 15.9 cents, and 23 South African rand 67.6 cents. In commodities, gold's up just over 0.1% at $1,909 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up 0.33% at $74.02.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crogga, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crogga, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrogga.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Tonight's the final opportunity to have your say in person on the future of Manx elections. It's the 4th meeting of the Electoral Commission taking place in Peel at the Corran Hall starting at 6:30. It's part of a series being put on to discover new ways to make the polls more accessible. Chair of the Electoral Commission is Sally Bolton.
I think there's been common themes have been whether how we are to take into account the increases in population in certain areas, and particularly how that might affect the local community. But in Peel, yes, there is potential for debate because the constituency has increased over the average of 15%. So that's a matter for discussion and debate with whoever is likely to attend. We have on each occasion had some people who are suggesting an all-island constituency, and that raises some debate. And then there are other aspects such as the accessibility issues and where the polling stations should be. And we also had, on previous occasions, we've had discussion about the use of electronic facilities to enable more people to be able to vote, for example, at one polling station rather than at a designated polling station. So those have all engaged people, and we've had a massive audience to our meetings. The people who have attended have been, we found them very well informed and engaged, and we've had lively and informative discussions.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Best of my, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Starting with football, and FC Isle of Man has announced matchday ticket prices have been frozen for the upcoming 2023-24 season. The club has confirmed its ticket pricing structure, which will see general admission cost £10, concessions at £5, juniors aged 5 to 11 at £3, and children under the age of 5 able to attend for free. Meanwhile, there will also be a season ticket offering this season, with the club using the maximum possible discount offered by the NWCFL of 15%, which FC Isle of Man hopes will make season tickets as affordable as possible. General admission season tickets will cost £196, whilst it'll be £98 for concessions and £59 for juniors. The club says for general admission season tickets, the savings include up to £74.50 in discounts, equating to around 7 free games. All season ticket holders will also get free access to the club's 4 pre-season games at the Bowl next month. Prices for entry to the pre-season fixtures outside of that is expected to be announced soon, whilst league game tickets will go on offer once NWCFL fixtures are confirmed. In golf, Anna Dawson has got her latest Ladies European Tour competition underway in Finland today in the Ladies Open by Piccolo Rock Resort Tournament. Dawson was on the 12th hole at 3 over par earlier today when play was suspended during the afternoon for several hours. Round 1 has now resumed, with Dawson back underway shortly after 4 p.m. with play ongoing. The event is running until Saturday. And finally, the Round the Island sailing race is returning for 2023 this weekend. The annual event is due to get underway at 9 a.m. on Saturday, with a series of trophies up for grabs, including the prestigious Coronation Cup, as well as the Ramsey Town Trophy and the Corrin Trophy. The organisers, the Manx Sailing and Cruising Club, say any spectators can enjoy a great view of the event from the start point at Ramsey Bay and also at the point of air between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m, whilst there will also be good spectating points along the west, south and east coasts before competitors eventually finish in Ramsey Harbour. Prize giving for the event will then take place the following day on Sunday from around noon until 1:30 p.m.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Hold your breath. The 5:25 Loganair from Manchester came in 15 minutes late. Next inbound, it's the 10:08 Loganair from London City on time. The 5:08 Loganair from Liverpool on time. The returning patient transfer. Then it's the 8:05 EasyJet from Manchester. Won't be until 9:05. And the 9:25 EasyJet from London Gatwick. You got it. Won't be in until 9:15. Fingers crossed. Outbound tonight, 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool on time. The 9:25 EasyJet to Manchester delayed till about 10:25. And the 9:05 EasyJet back to London Gatwick timed at 9:45. Temporary lights on the TT course south of Kirkmichael for substation work. East Quays closed between the House of Manannan and the road bridge in Peel. And the Peel to Kirkmichael Coast Road's got phased closures. You'll know it when you see a sign. Temporary lights on the TT course at Glen Helen for tree felling. Temporary lights on Cumberland Road in Ramsey for resurfacing. And the swing bridge is closed to traffic and pedestrians. In Laxey, Ballacollister Road's closed between Crotty Quill Road and Rental Hill for resurfacing. In Derby, Ballymenic Road's got phased closures. They're working on the water mains there. Temporary lights on the Howe Road, Port St Mary. And the Glen Road in Colby's closed for resurfacing. Temporary lights on Ballacamine Road for resurfacing in Douglas. Stop-go boards on Cool Road near Eden Park in Braddon for line painting. Groudle Road's closed between Harbour Road and Fairway Close in Onchan for gas upgrades. And Packhorse Lane Baldrine's closed for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Public spending hasn't reached crisis point, but drawing on reserves is preferable to austerity, says the Treasury Minister, after his predecessor claimed his department plan did nothing to tackle the issues facing the island's reserves. Dr. Allinson MHK says the alternative could adversely impact public services like health and the police.
It's really up to the budget to set out that long-term financial strategy and to make sure that we're keeping to what we've said in the budget, which is the medium-term financial plan, and coming back into a balanced budget in 5 years. So the two are slightly different, but equally important to have that scrutiny from the court. In the Treasury plan, it's that we collect income tax, that we collect VAT, that we reinforce our customs and excise department, that we digitalise, but also in terms of the threats to the Isle of Man from across, that we look at money val assessments, that we look at our international obligations in terms of the OECD pillars, that we do all that as well. And that's what's in the department plan, how we're actually going to affect it. But what's in the budget is the rationale about why we're drawing down from reserves. We've had a series of rainy days over the last couple of years. And again, Mr. Ashford pointed out that he doubted whether we were going to achieve what we've absolutely committed to, which is a balanced budget. Actually, he and his predecessors would probably have achieved that, and that's what they set out, similar 5-year plans, but things have happened, and we've drawn down on reserves, I think quite rightly, because the alternative to drawing down on reserves is a period of mass austerity. And again, previous administrations have had to do that when VAT was rebalanced. And we've seen the effects of that. And actually, this administration in some ways is picking up some of the results of that, particularly when you look at problems with health funding, education funding, the state of the constabulary. All those you can trace back to the tightening that was done absolutely for the right reasons at that time, but has then cut down on public services.
If you have a news story for Manx Radio to investigate and report, email newsroom@manxradio.com or call 682 631 any time of day or night.
Department of Infrastructure has been handed a second decision notice by the island's Information Commissioner over its response to a Freedom of Information request. Ian MacDonald, who announced he'll be leaving his role on the 21st of July, says he's concerned at the attitude shown by the department towards the public's right to access information. The story from Lewis Foster.
The FOI itself submitted back in August last year asked for details of all contact between the government and Crogga, the company with plans to draw for gas off the coast of the Isle of Man. Initially, it refused to provide this information, citing a commercial exemption, but the Information Commissioner issued a decision notice back in March saying the DOI didn't comply with the request within the standard period for responding and failed to justify the application of the exemption. The department was then given 30 days to supply the details or provide a further refusal. It chose to do the latter on the final day of the deadline. It said scouring through and manually reviewing the 958 items of content and checking if anything could be potentially commercially damaging would equate to around 240 hours of work. Therefore, it believes a practical refusal reason would be applicable. In conclusion, the latest decision notice says the DOI has repeatedly stated in order to comply with the request it would be required to review each item identified by searches. But the Commissioner says such a statement is both illogical and concerning. Reviewing search results is a fundamental action if a public authority is to fulfil its obligations to comply with the Act. Making such statements, it says, suggests that the DOI either does not understand the law or has received incorrect advice in that regard, or has knowingly and deliberately failed to review the search results to avoid complying with the request. The department has now been ordered to review each item located during those initial searches and give the information over within 30 days. The Department of Infrastructure has been contacted for comment.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Chanel Suku, producer Rhiann Evans. I'm Andy Wint, and we're back with another update. Friday's update tomorrow evening at 5:30.
WINT